We're all in landscape mode, and I'm about to start Adobe for the first time. I have image capture on my desktop in case I need more from the camera, and I know how to use AirDrop. So these are all prereqs for getting to this point. The first thing you really want to do when you're creating a project is to try to organize your files. File management becomes important when you're looking for things and when Adobe's trying to make it work, but it becomes really important if you need to move a project from one place to another. And if you want to be able to work on the cloud and be able to transport and work from a different computer or work from home, you're going to need to master this. And then all it is just keeping track of where things are. And the best way to do that is to create a new folder. To do that, you control click or right click anywhere on the desktop. You'll have these options to change the folder. If you click on it and hit return, it turns to a light blue, and you might have noticed that it was light blue when it first started. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one and just call it Getting Started Editing, because I believe that's what I'm going to call this tutorial. And all I'm doing with this is taking all of these files and putting them into that folder. And when you open up the folder, you'll see what you've got. And I have to be really disciplined about making sure that if I get a song off the internet or another video clip or an image, I put them in that folder, and I make sure everything in the project's in that folder. And then I'll give you a little sneak preview because right here in Apple, you'll see this thing called Adobe Creative Cloud. And what you're seeing right now is all of the MabTV media that I had for MabTV productions and this and the screens. I also have the 2024 Senior Slideshow. Every single picture, every edit song that was from that is in this folder, and I was sharing it with a student who was really creating the work. And again, just mastering that discipline of staying organized with your files become really, really important. And so that folder that I have here, if I drag it over to the Creative Clouds folder, it disappears off the desktop, and it becomes something that I can access from anywhere, from home, from a different computer, whatever. So file management is important. I make a lot of mistakes, so if you do and you get an error message, I'll show that a little bit later. Just understand the mistake is usually that the file's somewhere where the program no longer knows where it is. But if the file is in the same place as the project file, if all the videos are in the same place as the project file, that's these purple ones, it tends to look inside that folder. So when you fix the mistake, it figures out where to look for that media. All right, let's get to that. When you launch Adobe for the first time, it'll open up into this screen. I'm waiting for it because it takes a little while to load. And it should fill up the screen. I'm only doing 1080 to make it not too big or too cluttered, so you can see everything you need to see as I'm going through this. I'm going to move this folder over here just off to the side for now. And again, this is the launch icon. It's not the file that saves it. It's going through all the boot items right now. And once it loads up, you'll see the initial screen. And it should pop up right there. If not, I'll just make a few adjustments to make it fit. And sometimes if you have previous projects, you'll see them, that you can access them quickly from this launch aisle. Hopefully you're not on the learning mode, and when you click on, and you'll see too that you've got your account here. It should show your Adobe login, or at least it goes to the login page. But I'm just going to create a brand new project. Every time I start a new edit, I'm just going to hit new project. And once again, resize this so that it fits within the screen. And I'm not a big fan of starting by picking these footage. This is all like footage for Adobe tutorials. So what I generally do is kind of ignore this because I want to add my media in later. And I understand there's different workflows and there's always more than one way to do things. But I'm going to go ahead and do two things. I'm going to get it started. I'm going to call it the Getting Started. I'm naming the file so I know where to find it. Editing. And then I have to, this is where some people get confused because they just click create. They really have to make sure you know where things are going. Part of file management is making sure when you download it, you know where it is and you move it where you need it to be. When you're creating a file, you know where you're creating it to. If you're saving or exporting a file, you know what you're naming it and you know what you're saving it or exporting it and where it's going to. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this manually by clicking on Choose Location. And I'll have a little Finder window here. I'm getting out of the cloud because the folder I want it in is on the desktop. And I'm just going to click right there and then click Choose. Then, when I know where it's going, the name, users, English Java, desktop, getting started editing, that's the folder. Then I can click Create, and it's going to get me out of this screen and get me into the initial Adobe screen that you usually start with. Generally for now, since we're just sticking with simple things, go ahead and if it's not there, you want to click on this. It's called Workspaces, and just make sure the workspace is not on Starter or Essentials, it's on Editing, because it's the most universally useful workspace that I've found on Adobe. There are other workspaces if you take a look, depending on what you're doing, but the ones I mostly use are Editing, Color, Effects, and Audio. Sometimes Captions and graphics, and some of these are things that are new that I'm going to be checking out for other classes, like Captions and Graphics. Oh no, I'm sorry. Text-based editing is more for like a documentary film class. So I'm going to move this over, and what these are called are panels. And this is your source panel, project panel, timeline panel, tool panel, and program panel. If at any point any of these panels pop out of place, you can go to Windows, Workspaces, and Reset Save Layout, and that just brings it back to this default. So if you're on editing and you've reset it, it should put everything back no matter what happened, because panels can be rearranged or moved or resized, and sometimes they just flat out disappear. So I'm going to move this off to the side, and I'm going to open this folder up and point out that that project file is in there. And I want you to think of this like a blueprint. This is not the film, it is a blueprint for the film, and it needs all of the materials to be present for it to make the film. And so again, if you have a blueprint without the materials, you're going to see some error messages pop up. So I'm going to drag and select all of these videos and drag and drop them here so that they become part of my project. And then I'm going to close this because I don't really need it. And you'll see now that all of the videos that I added are in the project folder, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit so I can see all of them. And if I deselect them, you do get a chance to scrub through and see what they are, which is kind of cool. And I'm just going to go scrub through so you can see each shot. Some backpacking shots, some river shots, butterfly taking off, a grasshopper taking off in slow motion, and a flag. So these are my 10 shots. And that's just to help you see it. So this is basically the first step. I'm going to stop this video here and give you a chance to catch up, and then we'll move on to the next step for the next video.